The Imperial Deep Space Command Center hummed with the quiet energy of a galaxy that thought it was in complete control. Rows of officers monitored glowing screens, and technicians moved swiftly between consoles, interpreting streams of information from across the stars. The Galactic Empire had always prided itself on its perfect records. Every ship, every species, every warp route had been catalogued, studied, and archived. Nothing in the galaxy could surprise them, or so they believed. Commander Salira Venn, one of the youngest but most respected officers in the Imperial fleet, stared at her main display with growing unease. Something had appeared on the long-range scanners, a blip moving at speeds that no Imperial ship could match. She leaned forward, her fingers hovering over the console. "Lieutenant Darrow," she called, her voice calm but firm. "Run a full diagnostic on the incoming object. Compare it to all known ships, civilian and military. Every record." The young lieutenant's fingers flew over the keys. "Yes, Commander. Cross-referencing all Imperial records, all known species, all registered warp technologies. Nothing matches." Salira frowned. "Nothing?" "Nothing, Commander. The ship is unknown. Its speed alone is impossible with current Imperial propulsion." The words hung in the air. Around them, the command center was alive with quiet tension. In all her years of service, Salira had seen many anomalies. Rogue comets, unregistered smugglers, stray fleets. But nothing like this. This ship was an enigma, a shadow appearing in their meticulously ordered galaxy. The blip moved steadily, almost purposefully, on a trajectory toward the Imperial core. The core was the heart of the Empire, a cluster of worlds central to governance, trade, and defense. No one could afford a threat that close, not even a mysterious one. Salira turned to the senior officer beside her, Admiral Corvin. He was older, with decades of experience, but even he looked unsettled. "Admiral, what do you make of it?" Corvin rubbed his chin. "If these readings are correct, it's impossible. No registered civilization has the technology to move at that speed, not even close. It's beyond our understanding." Salira's eyes narrowed. "Could it be a data glitch?" Corvin shook his head slowly. "I've had the same thought, but I've checked 3 times. The scanners are calibrated, sensors are precise. This isn't a glitch. Something is out there, and it's coming this way." The room grew quieter as the officers absorbed the gravity of the situation. The Empire was used to order, to control. The galaxy had rules, and all ships followed them, or at least they used to. Now something had appeared that did not follow any known rule. "Alert the fleet," Salira ordered. "We need a full mobilization. Send interceptors to shadow the object. I want every possible sensor focused on it." "Yes, Commander," the communications officer replied, fingers flying across the console. Within minutes, Imperial fleets began converging along the path of the unknown ship. Warships of all sizes adjusted their courses, forming a loose blockade in the emptiness of space. Yet as they approached, even the fleet officers noted something extraordinary. The unknown ship did not respond to their signals. Hails sent through every known communication channel received no reply. It moved with calm precision, ignoring the Empire's attempts at contact. On the bridge of one cruiser, Lieutenant Mira Gels watched the screens with disbelief. "It's like it knows exactly where we'll be. Every maneuver we make, it's already accounted for." Salira, monitoring the same feed from the command center, felt a cold thrill of unease. This ship was not just fast. It was intelligent, deliberate, and far beyond anything the Empire had ever faced. At the same time, the Empire's analysts began digging through every historical archive, trying to find even a hint of its origin. They cross-referenced ancient databases, forgotten charts, and even old records from extinct species. Nothing. Not a single clue. The ship had no registry, no markings, no name, no history. It was as if it had materialized from the void itself. One young historian in the control room whispered to her colleague, almost afraid she would be overheard. "Could it be a ghost fleet? Something from before the Empire?" Her colleague shook his head. "No, even ancient fleets move slowly compared to this. This is different. Something new. Something alive." The ship continued its silent advance toward the Imperial core. In response, Admiral Corvin issued the standard defensive protocol, readying energy shields, activating interceptor drones, and preparing the fleet for engagement. Yet despite all this preparation, no one dared underestimate the unknown. Every officer in the command center understood that the galaxy had changed in a single moment. As the hours passed, the unknown ship continued to move unerringly along its path. The Empire's warships attempted various tactics: flanking maneuvers, speed bursts, coordinated sensor sweeps. Each effort failed. The ship was always a step ahead, always just out of reach. Celira walked to the observation window, looking out at the stars streaking past. The unknown vessel was a small dot in the distance, yet its presence felt enormous. She thought of the thousands of years of Imperial history, of every war won, every planet conquered, every fleet commanded, and she realized how fragile it all now seemed. "It doesn't attack," she said quietly to herself. "It doesn't signal, it just moves." Corvin came to stand beside her. "That may be worse than any attack. A warship you can destroy is a threat you understand. This is something else. Something we do not understand. And the unknown is always dangerous." For the first time, the Empire felt what it had rarely experienced: fear. Not panic, not chaos, but a deep, undeniable awareness that control could slip through their fingers in an instant. Hours turned into a tense vigil. The unknown ship maintained its course. Imperial analysts worked tirelessly, trying to predict its next move. Every mathematical model failed. Every prediction was wrong. The ship seemed to operate on a logic outside known science. Finally, a junior officer shouted across the command room. "Commander?" "Sensors are picking up fluctuations. Some sort of energy field around it. Unknown composition." Celira rushed to the console. The data confirmed it. The ship was surrounded by a shimmering field that absorbed every scan, every signal. The Empire could see it, track it, but not understand it. It was like trying to hold starlight in your hands. Corvin's expression darkened. "This ship is untouchable. No technology in the Empire can match it. If it wants to enter the core, there is nothing we can do to stop it." Celira clenched her fists. "Then we must understand it. We cannot face what we cannot comprehend. Prepare the analysis teams. Focus every sensor, every drone, every probe. We will learn what it is, no matter how long it takes." The unknown ship continued toward the heart of the Empire, silent, unstoppable, and impossible to classify. It moved faster than anything the Empire had ever recorded, and it carried with it a mystery that threatened the very foundation of Imperial confidence. Celira turned to Corvin, determination blazing in her eyes. "Admiral, if we do not understand this ship, it may not just threaten the core. It may change everything, and I will not let the Empire be caught unprepared." Corvin nodded, a rare smile flickering across his face despite the tension. "Then we will face the unknown. Together." In the silent void of space, the unknown ship glided onward, leaving no traces behind except questions and wonder. The galaxy watched and the Empire waited, knowing that history was about to begin, and that the first sign of change had already arrived. The stars themselves seemed to pause, as if holding their breath. And somewhere within that impossible vessel, a presence moved quietly, its intentions unreadable, its speed unmatched, its origin unknown. The Galactic Empire had faced many threats before, but none quite like this. The unknown ship moved with the silent confidence of a predator, yet it was no predator in the usual sense. Its presence did not radiate aggression, nor did it send any threat. It simply advanced, unbroken by the Imperial fleet that now swarmed around it like a net around a shadow. Commander Celira Venn watched the feeds from the Deep Space Command Center, her hands gripping the console. Hundreds of warships flanked the alien vessel, forming a complex lattice in space designed to corner it. Yet the unknown ship continued its steady course. Unaffected by the Imperial maneuvers, Lieutenant Mira Gels, stationed on one of the fleet cruisers, whispered in awe to her fellow officers, "It's like it knows everything we'll do before we do it." A senior officer scoffed, though unease shadowed his tone. "No ship should be able to anticipate our moves." "Nothing moves this fast, this precise," Celira frowned. "Then it is not just fast. It is intelligent, and more advanced than anything we have ever faced." The Empire had expected some resistance or challenge, perhaps a fleeing smuggler, a rogue civilization, or a forgotten scout fleet. But this was unlike anything in the records. The fleet tried standard communication protocols, hails in multiple frequencies, visual signals, and coded transmissions designed to be universally understood. Silence responded. The unknown ship ignored them all. Admiral Corvin, standing behind Salira, spoke quietly. It refuses communication. That is new. Even hostile ships respond when confronted. They do not vanish into silence. Salira's fingers danced across her console. Deploy the drones. I want every sensor active, every scan as deep as we can manage. We will know what it is. The drones flitted into space like silver insects swarming toward the unknown vessel. As they approached, their readings sparked more questions than answers. The ship was covered in a field of energy unlike anything recorded in Imperial archives. It absorbed energy, reflected signals, and even interfered with basic physics around it. Instruments spun in confusion, unable to establish stable data. Lieutenant Darrow, monitoring the results from the command center, muttered, "It's impossible. Every reading contradicts the last. It's like the ship exists on different rules." Salira took a deep breath. "Impossible is just a word, Lieutenant. This ship exists. That is our first truth. The rest, we will learn." Meanwhile, the unknown ship continued to glide effortlessly through the blockade. Imperial pilots, known for their courage and skill, tried daring intercepts, weaving between warships and attempting to match its speed. Each attempt failed. The ship maneuvered with precision, avoiding collisions and never accelerating unnecessarily. It did not attack, yet it could have destroyed fleets effortlessly if it had chosen. On board one cruiser, pilot Ryan Voss muttered to his partner, "It doesn't make sense. Every move we make, it predicts it. Every strategy we try, it nullifies it. It's like it is. Alive." "Yes," the partner replied, her eyes wide. "Or like it knows us. Understands us." At the command center, Salira frowned. "It does not act like a machine. But it is not responding. It may not even recognize our fleet as a threat. This is new." As hours passed, tension in the Imperial fleet grew. The unknown ship remained calm, its path unwavering. The blockade was ineffective no matter how many ships participated. The Empire had faced superior fleets before, but this was different. This was not a confrontation that could be solved by firepower. Suddenly, the unknown ship made a maneuver that stunned the entire fleet. Without warning, it accelerated, weaving through the fleet at a speed faster than any Imperial ship could achieve. It passed between cruisers and destroyers, leaving no trace, no damage, but causing alarms to scream across every bridge. "Commander," Miragel shouted. It moved through the formation without touching a single ship." Salira's eyes narrowed. "Not through the formation. Through our expectations. That is the difference." Admiral Corvin shook his head slowly. "This is no ordinary ship. This is a force we cannot fight with traditional tactics. Our knowledge does not apply." The unknown vessel then slowed, stopping near a distant gas giant. It hovered silently, almost contemplatively. Imperial analysts flooded Salira's display with readings, trying to decipher what they could. They saw an advanced energy signature, unlike anything previously recorded, a combination of efficiency and power that defied Imperial understanding. A voice in the command center whispered almost in awe, "It's beautiful and terrifying." Salira knew the Empire had grown used to control, to dominance, to understanding everything. This ship was a reminder that the galaxy was wider and stranger than even the most meticulous records could account for. After long minutes of observation, Salira made a decision. "We must attempt a direct boarding. Sensors are inconclusive and drones cannot penetrate its shields. We need to see who or what is inside." Admiral Corvin nodded reluctantly. "It is a risk, but yes. Assemble a boarding team. Prepare transport ships and defensive support. And Salira? Be careful." Salira turned to her officers. "We are about to face the unknown. Not in theory, but in reality. Stay focused, stay sharp, and trust your training. This will test everything we know." The boarding team launched in small, agile craft. The unknown ship's energy field shimmered as they approached, but instead of attacking, it seemed to part, allowing them safe passage. It was almost as if the ship understood their intent. On board, Salira and her team moved cautiously. The interior of the vessel was unlike any Imperial design. Smooth, flowing surfaces glowed softly, and corridors seemed to adjust to the movements of the team. There were no visible engines, no control panels in the traditional sense. It was as if the ship itself was alive, a perfect integration of structure and function. Then they saw movement. Not mechanical, but biological. Figures emerged, small in stature, yet composed with grace and strength. Salira's heart skipped. For centuries, records had said that humans, the species of the crew before her, had vanished from the galaxy, extinct, wiped from history. And now she saw them alive, perfectly adapted, their technology far surpassing anything the Empire had produced. A voice echoed in the chamber, calm but commanding. "We remember." The words reverberated through Solera's mind. She realized in that moment that the unknown ship was not just a mystery, it was a message. Humanity had returned not to hide, not to fight, but to remind the galaxy of its ingenuity, resilience, and presence. The boarding team froze, overwhelmed by both awe and realization. Admiral Corvin's voice came through Solera's communicator. "Report, Commander." "What is the status?" Solera hesitated, then spoke clearly. "Sir, it's humans. They exist, and their technology. It surpasses everything we have ever built." The command center went silent. For a moment, no one moved. The Empire, the invincible force that had spanned thousands of worlds, had encountered a species it could not comprehend. Solera looked at the humans before her, calm and observant, yet unmistakably aware of the weight of the galaxy's gaze. She knew that the encounter she had just witnessed would change everything. This was not just a ship. This was a turning point. And in the distance, the Imperial fleet waited, unsure whether to celebrate, fear, or prepare. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The silence of the unknown ship was unlike anything the Imperial fleet had ever experienced. It was not hostile, yet it radiated a presence that was commanding, calm, and undeniably intelligent. Inside, Commander Solera Venn and her boarding team walked through corridors that seemed to adjust to their movements. Every step, every gesture felt acknowledged by the ship itself as if it were aware of their intentions. "Remarkable," whispered Lieutenant Miragels. It's not like a machine. It's alive. Somehow." Solera nodded, though her mind was focused on the larger picture. Humanity, the species long thought extinct, was aboard this ship. The implications were enormous. Every record in Imperial archives, every historical document, had claimed humans disappeared centuries ago. There was no explanation for their vanishing. And now they were here, in the heart of Imperial space, their technology beyond comprehension. A chamber opened ahead, glowing softly with an internal light. Figures emerged, tall, lean, with strong features that immediately conveyed intelligence and discipline. Their uniforms were simple yet elegant, a mixture of functionality and subtle beauty, devoid of unnecessary symbols. One stepped forward. Their presence was calm but deliberate, and their eyes held centuries of knowledge and experience. "Greetings," the figure said. The voice was clear, steady, and carried an authority that required no assertion. "We are aware of your fleet. We are aware of your empire, and we have returned." Solera felt her heart pound. You are humans," the figure nodded slowly. "Yes, humans. We were thought lost, erased from history. But we survived. We have watched, we have waited, and now we are here." A gasp ran through the boarding team. One of the officers whispered, I thought they were extinct." Every record said, "Gone." "They were lost to time," the human replied, "but not to memory. We remember, and we have returned to ensure that the galaxy remembers as well." Solera's mind raced. Why now? Why reveal yourselves after all these centuries? The human's gaze was calm. "We have observed your empire for a long time. We have seen its growth, its victories, and its weaknesses. The galaxy has reached a tipping point. The balance of control, of freedom, and of knowledge has shifted. It is time to return, not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy that no species is ever truly gone, and no empire is eternal." Admiral Corvin, still connected via communicator, spoke in disbelief. This is impossible. Humanity was never part of our records beyond a legend. How is it that your technology surpasses everything we have?" The human smiled faintly. "When one survives in exile, one learns to master knowledge beyond ordinary limits. We have had centuries to innovate, to observe, and to perfect. Your records are complete, yes, but limited. We are beyond limitation." Solera felt a mix of awe and unease. The Empire had always been confident in its knowledge and power. Now that certainty had been shaken. She looked at the human crew, realizing that they were not merely survivors. They were a message, a living proof that resilience, intelligence, and ingenuity, could outlast even the mightiest empire. What? What do you want from us? Celira asked carefully. From the Empire? The human's gaze softened, yet it retained a quiet authority. We do not come for conquest. We do not seek war. We come to remind the galaxy that freedom, knowledge, and resilience are not bound by empires. We offer aid to those oppressed, guidance to those in need, and the truth of our survival as a lesson. But understand this: if attacked, we are prepared to defend ourselves. And our defense surpasses all expectation. The words reverberated through Celira's mind. The unknown ship, once a mere mystery, had now become a symbol of hope for some and of caution or fear for others. Back at the Imperial Command Center, the news spread quickly. Analysts, historians, and scientists scrambled to understand what they had just witnessed. Humanity, once erased from history, had returned with technology and wisdom that dwarfed the Empire's own. Every calculation, every model, every strategy that had guided the Empire for centuries suddenly seemed fragile. Lieutenant Darrow's voice trembled as he spoke into his communicator. Commander, the fleet, they are reacting. Some ships are holding position, others are moving closer. They want to understand. Some crews are inspired, I think. They're talking about hope, freedom, something we've not felt in decades. Celira nodded, though she felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. The return of humanity would change everything. Not just the military balance, but the social and political structures across the galaxy. Empires thrived on fear and control. The presence of a species that had survived against all odds and returned without conquest was a threat to that control. Corvin's voice came through, heavy with concern. Commander, I need a full report. What is their intent? Are they dangerous? Celira responded cautiously. Admiral, they are not hostile, at least not in any way we have provoked. But their technology, their knowledge, it surpasses us. The presence alone is enough to inspire hope in oppressed systems. If the Empire does not act wisely, this could destabilize everything. Wise action, Corvin muttered, has rarely been the Empire's strongest skill. Celira ignored the remark, focusing instead on the implications. The humans aboard the ship were not conquerors. They were survivors, visionaries, and most importantly, reminders of the potential of resilience. The fleet could engage them with weapons, but such an action would be futile. Every attempt to intimidate or attack had already failed. As Celira and her team moved through the ship, they encountered chambers filled with knowledge. Holographic maps displayed stars and civilizations unknown to Imperial records. Laboratories contained instruments that defied the current understanding of physics. The humans had not only survived, they had evolved, mastered, and perfected technologies beyond imagination. A young officer whispered, "They've solved things we've only dreamed about. Faster than light travel without mass distortion, energy generation beyond our reactors, even defensive fields that can absorb attacks before they reach the ship." Celira realized the truth in that statement. The unknown ship had been a mystery until now, but the revelation was far greater. Humanity was not just back. It had returned as a force that could teach, inspire, and, if necessary, defend itself with unmatched skill. One human approached Celira and spoke with quiet authority. "We have observed your empire for centuries. We know your strengths and weaknesses. But we are not here to conquer. We are here to remind you and all civilizations that knowledge, ingenuity, and courage are the greatest powers in the galaxy." Celira's eyes met theirs. And if the Empire does not accept this, if it reacts with fear or aggression, the human's expression did not change. Then the galaxy will witness that even the mightiest powers can falter when faced with the unknown. But we do not seek conflict, only understanding. Celira felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. The Empire had always assumed control, always relied on superiority and numbers. Now everything had shifted. The unknown ship had revealed its passengers, humans not as myths or legends, but as living proof of resilience. And the galaxy was about to change forever. The boarding team left the ship with new knowledge and awe. Celira knew their next steps were critical. This revelation could either unite the galaxy in curiosity and cooperation, or it could spark fear and overreaction. Either path would shape the future of the Empire and humanity. Outside, the Imperial fleet held its positions. The unknown ship hovered calmly near the gas giant, its presence serene yet commanding. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt uncertainty. For the first time, it realized that control could be challenged not through war alone, but through the simple fact of existence, intelligence, and courage. Celira looked out at the stars, her mind racing. Humanity had returned, and with them came a new era, one that would test the Empire, inspire the oppressed, and remind every being in the galaxy that survival, ingenuity, and hope could never truly be erased. In that moment, she understood the gravity of the revelation. The unknown ship was no longer just a mystery. It was a statement, a warning, a promise, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The news of humanity's return spread like a silent wildfire across the Imperial fleet and beyond. Every communication hub, every planet, and every system within the Empire began to buzz with speculation, curiosity, and fear. Humanity, long thought extinct, had returned with a ship and technology beyond comprehension. Their intentions were unknown, yet their mere existence was shaking the foundations of the Galactic Empire. Commander Celira Venn remained at the Deep Space Command Center, overseeing the response. Reports poured in from fleets stationed on distant borders, from colonies that had never seen humans before, and from Imperial scientists scrambling to make sense of the technology they could barely measure. Lieutenant Darrow approached her, a nervous energy in his stride. "Commander, the smaller systems are reacting. There are whispers of rebellion, sir. Many worlds see humanity as a symbol, a sign of hope. Some colonies are refusing Imperial directives, claiming they will not fight if the humans are peaceful." Celira's brow furrowed. "We cannot underestimate the social impact. The Empire thrives on order, fear, and control. The presence of humanity, peaceful yet immensely powerful, is a threat we cannot face with ships alone." Admiral Corvin stepped forward, his tone heavy with concern. "And yet, Commander, the fleet still demands action. They want to know, should we strike, contain, or engage diplomatically? The human ship is near the gas giant, calm and unthreatening, but the fleet, they do not understand what they are dealing with." Celira shook her head. "We cannot attack what we do not understand. Every attempt to provoke them will fail and may even escalate tensions. Humanity is demonstrating restraint, discipline, and patience. That is more dangerous than aggression. It shows control we cannot match." The Empire's scientists were working at full speed, attempting to replicate or study even a fraction of the humans' technology. Their energy shields, propulsion systems, and internal controls were unlike anything in Imperial records. Every probe sent to scan their ship was absorbed, deflected, or rendered useless. It was as if the ship itself was a living entity, defending its secrets while allowing observation. Lieutenant Mira Gels whispered to her colleagues, "It's teaching us without speaking. Every move, every calculation, they are showing us possibilities we've never imagined." Meanwhile, the smaller civilizations within the Empire began to speak openly. Merchants, miners, and colonists whispered stories of humanity's return, spreading across systems faster than the Empire could control. For the first time in centuries, fear of the Empire's power was tempered by hope. For the first time, oppressed worlds believed that resistance might be possible. In the command center, Celira studied the reports. "We are on the brink of change," she murmured. "The presence of humanity is not just technological, it is symbolic. Entire worlds will see them as proof that strength and ingenuity can survive even the harshest conditions." Admiral Corvin's voice was grim. "The Empire cannot tolerate uncertainty. If they see humanity as a threat, or if humanity inspires rebellion, we could lose control over the core itself." Celira nodded, though her eyes remained focused on the distant dot of the human ship. "Then we must act wisely. Diplomacy, observation, and restraint. Any aggression will only reveal our weaknesses." The unknown ship, calm and silent near the gas giant, seemed aware of the growing tension. Though it had made no move to assert dominance, the Empire's fleets felt the pressure of its presence. The humans aboard were observing, calculating, and preparing, but not attacking. Their restraint was a mirror to the Empire's own pride and arrogance. Inside the human vessel, their leaders discussed strategy. "They do not understand our purpose," one said quietly. "They see only their fear, their desire to maintain control. We must show patience. Let them witness restraint and wisdom. The galaxy will remember this choice." Another human replied, Patience is essential, but we must be ready. Some will act out of fear. They may attempt to provoke us, test us, or even attack. We cannot underestimate their desperation. Back at the command center, Celira received a transmission from a distant system. A colony had refused to follow orders, citing humanity's return as inspiration. Ships stationed nearby reported that local militias were organizing to resist Imperial oversight. "This is exactly what I feared," Celira said to Darrow. "Their presence alone is destabilizing. We are not facing weapons, it is the idea of them that is changing minds, stirring courage in places we cannot control." Corvin's expression darkened. "Commander, this is more than a ship. It is a challenge to the Empire itself. We cannot crush hope, yet we cannot allow it to spread unchecked. The balance of power is shifting." Celira leaned forward, fingers tapping the console. "We must be careful. Every fleet maneuver, every order, every word spoken across the Empire will be interpreted. Misstep and we could trigger conflict across multiple systems. Humanity has returned not to fight but to remind the galaxy that survival, knowledge, and courage cannot be erased. And now, the galaxy remembers." Fleet commanders continued to attempt contact, still hoping for conventional diplomacy. Hails were sent, messages repeated. Yet the humans responded only with calm signals of acknowledgement. They did not attack, did not make demands, and did not speak unless necessary. Every move, every silence demonstrated control. Lieutenant Gels whispered to her fellow pilot, "It's as if they are saying, 'We exist. We are here, and we are beyond your fears.'" The Empire began to realize that force alone would never work against humanity. Their technology was superior, yes, but more importantly, their strategy, patience, and intelligence made them untouchable by conventional means. Every attempt to pressure, intimidate, or attack revealed the limitations of Imperial thinking. Across the galaxy, smaller civilizations were inspired. Messages began to spread. Systems that had suffered under Imperial rule saw a glimpse of hope. People spoke quietly of freedom, courage, and the possibility that control was not absolute. Humanity had returned not to conquer but to teach by example. Celira knew the Empire faced a new kind of challenge. Not a battle of ships, but a battle of ideas. Humanity's presence challenged the belief that the Empire was invincible, that it controlled everything, that no one could rise against it. Entire worlds were now questioning authority, inspired by the example of a species thought lost. Admiral Corvin's voice broke through the reports. "Commander, the Emperor must be informed. This is beyond any scenario we've prepared for. This is a crisis unlike any other." Celira nodded.
"Yes, sir."
"Humanity has returned. They do not fight, yet their presence shakes the galaxy. Every action we take now must be deliberate. Any rash decision could make things worse." As the days passed, the unknown ship maintained its calm presence near the gas giant. Imperial fleets monitored, prepared, and waited. Colonies whispered of hope and freedom, inspired by the humans' restraint. The Empire's sense of control began to fray. Inside the human ship, leaders continued their observations. "They are learning," one said, "not only about us but about themselves. They see the limits of their power and they are beginning to question it. That is the real change. Not ships, not weapons, but understanding." The unknown ship had become a mirror. The Empire saw itself in reflection, prideful, structured, and unprepared for the unexpected. Humanity did not attack. They did not demand. They simply existed, demonstrating that intelligence, resilience, and restraint could surpass even the greatest fleets. Celira watched the stars outside the command center, thinking of the possibilities. Humanity's return was more than a revelation. It was a turning point. The Empire had been shaken, not by firepower, but by the realization that survival, courage, and ingenuity could never truly be controlled. The galaxy was holding its breath. Across countless systems, civilizations waited, watched, and wondered. The unknown ship remained calm, a symbol of possibility, a demonstration of restraint, and a reminder that even the mightiest empires must respect the power of hope. And in that quiet tension, the story of humanity's return began to reshape the future, not through conflict but through presence. The Empire had faced many threats, yet none like this. This was not a war of weapons but a war of ideas. And humanity, silent but unyielding, had already begun to win. The galaxy held its breath, Across countless systems, the news of humanity's return spread like a quiet storm, reshaping minds, hearts, and expectations. For centuries, the Galactic Empire had ruled with confidence, relying on order, intimidation, and unmatched military might. But now everything was uncertain. A single ship with a crew long thought extinct had challenged the very foundation of their control. Commander Salira Venn stood once again at the Deep Space Command Center, her eyes fixed on the distant dot of the human vessel near the gas giant. It had not moved in weeks, yet its presence radiated influence far beyond its size. Systems whispered, fleets hesitated, and the people dared to dream. Lieutenant Darrow approached, voice low but urgent. "Commander, reports are coming in from dozens of colonies. Entire systems are refusing Imperial orders. Merchants, miners, even military outposts are quietly resisting. Humanity's return is inspiring them." Salira nodded slowly. "Not by force, Darrow, by example. Their restraint, their intelligence, and their technology show what is possible. The Empire is powerful, yes, but they remind the galaxy that power is not absolute. That even the smallest, the long-forgotten, can change the course of history." Admiral Corvin entered, his expression grim yet thoughtful. "The Emperor is aware. He fears what this means. He has ordered fleets to prepare for potential conflict, yet we all know direct confrontation is impossible. Humanity's technology is beyond anything we can challenge." Salira turned to him. "Then our task is not to fight. It is to understand, to observe, and to guide our empire through the change that has already begun. Resistance is futile, yes, but learning, that is still possible." Across the galaxy, smaller civilizations were awakening. Colonists on distant planets gathered secretly, sharing stories of humanity's return. Their ship was small, yet the message was enormous. Survival, resilience, and ingenuity could never be erased. Entire generations who had grown under Imperial oppression began to believe that freedom was not just a dream. Inside the human vessel, leaders watched. "They are beginning to understand," one said softly. "Not all at once, but the seeds are planted. Even the Empire senses the change." Another human replied, "Patience is essential. We do not conquer, we do not demand, we exist. That is enough to inspire. That is enough to remind the galaxy of what it has forgotten." The Empire's fleets had been instructed to maintain a defensive posture, yet even their strongest admirals admitted privately that engagement was futile. Every maneuver, every attempt at intimidation had failed. Humanity's restraint, precision, and superior technology left the Imperial fleet at a standstill. Commander Salira prepared for a direct communication with the human vessel. She knew the conversation would carry weight far beyond mere diplomacy. It was an opportunity for understanding, for shaping the future, and for ensuring that the Empire would survive the awakening humanity had sparked. "Prepare the message," she instructed Lieutenant Gels. "We will speak to them openly. No threats, no demands, just understanding and dialogue." As the transmission began, the human vessel responded immediately, not with words, but with a calm acknowledgement of the Empire's intent. The moment of contact was silent, yet it carried a weight that could be felt across the core and into the outer systems. Salira's voice echoed through the secure channel. "We are aware of your return, your technology, your presence. It surpasses anything the Empire has known. We seek understanding. We wish to know your intentions and how the Empire may coexist with you." A human voice, calm and clear, replied, "We do not seek conquest. We do not seek to destroy. We have returned to remind the galaxy of resilience, intelligence, and hope. We offer guidance to those who seek it, protection to those in need, and an example of what survival and wisdom can achieve. That is our purpose." The words spread quickly throughout the Empire. For the first time in millennia, a species of unmatched capability had returned without aggression, without claim, and without demands. Yet the impact was undeniable. Across the core and distant systems, leaders began to question Imperial authority. Fleet commanders reconsidered their orders. Colonies whispered of change, and the people dared to hope. Admiral Corvin, listening from the command center, shook his head slowly. "They are not warriors in the conventional sense. They are teachers, guides, a reminder, and the galaxy is already responding." Salira felt a strange mix of awe and relief. Humanity had returned not to fight, but to demonstrate the power of knowledge, restraint, and courage. Every fleet that attempted to confront them had failed, not through combat, but through understanding. or the impossibility of challenging them directly. In distant systems, imperial records and historians began to update themselves. Humanity's return was no longer a myth or legend. It was a fact verified and undeniable. Young officers studied their tactics, their technology, and their philosophy. Some spoke openly of hope, courage, and resilience. Even seasoned admirals admitted quietly that the galaxy was entering a new era. Lieutenant Dara whispered to Celira, "Commander, they are changing everything. Not with weapons, not with war, but by existing, by showing what is possible." Celira nodded. "Yes, Darrow, that is more powerful than any fleet. That is more lasting than any conquest. The galaxy will remember this moment for generations." Inside the human vessel, their leaders continued to observe and guide discreetly. They reached out to oppressed worlds, offering protection, technology, and advice, but never interference. Their approach was subtle, calculated, and powerful. The Empire could not control it, and yet slowly, the galaxy began to awaken to new possibilities. Celira sent another communication. "We seek a formal understanding. The Empire wishes to maintain peace and stability. Yet we acknowledge that your presence has altered the balance. We wish to learn from you, to prevent misunderstanding and ensure that conflict is avoided." The human vessel responded immediately. "We accept dialogue, not as equals seeking dominance, but as witnesses to what the galaxy can achieve when knowledge, courage, and restraint guide action. We offer cooperation, not submission, guidance, not interference, and a reminder. Empires rise, but ideas endure." The message echoed across systems. It was simple yet profound. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as teachers. Their technology and knowledge surpassed all expectation. Their restraint inspired hope. Their mere existence reminded the galaxy that survival, courage, and ingenuity could never be erased. In the core, the Emperor received the news with unease. Advisors whispered about fleets, strategies, and weaponry, yet none could offer a solution. Humanity's return could not be undone. It could not be destroyed. And the people were already inspired by what they represented. Celira watched the human ship one last time, its energy fields glowing calmly against the backdrop of the gas giant. She realized that the Empire had faced threats before, but none like this. None that could challenge not with firepower, but with presence, intelligence, and restraint. A young officer spoke softly beside her. "Commander, they have changed everything. And they haven't even tried." Celira smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and awe. "Yes, and that is why they are unstoppable. One ship, no records, no origin, moving too fast, yet teaching the galaxy at a pace no fleet could ever match. This is humanity's return." And so across the stars, the legend began, a species thought extinct returning quietly without aggression, showing the galaxy that resilience, intelligence, and courage could survive even the darkest times. They did not conquer. They did not demand. They existed, and that was enough to reshape history. The Galactic Empire had been shaken, not by weapons or war, but by the simple, undeniable fact of humanity's return. Across countless systems, civilizations took notice. Hope spread quietly like starlight through the void, and humanity, silent, calm, and resolute, had reminded the galaxy of what it had forgotten, that no empire is eternal and no knowledge, courage, or spirit can ever truly be erased. The unknown ship glided through space, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. Not by conquest, not by fear, but by the demonstration of the greatest power of all, the power to survive, inspire, and endure. History had begun anew, and the legend of humanity's return would be remembered for generations to come.